So we'll rip into public forum. We have excellent, I didn't see Peter Scott from ECAN to talk here about ECAN's notice of motion relating to public transport operations and infrastructure in Christchurch. Welcome, good to see you.
Morena koutou, Your Worship and councillors, it's good to be here. Have you got a copy of that notice of motion? I think I sent one through. I don't know whether you have it, but essentially, this is just a courtesy to the council because the notice of motion that I put forward was looking at setting up a CCO so that we can put our activities into a place that is less political and hopefully join up with you in terms of the infrastructure. We're the public transport authority, but you're the road controlling authority. So, you know, you may have to think really hard about what you would want to do if we ever got there. But the opportunities that exist around that are quite big, and I think it's time that we should take the advantage of that. Specifically, that the public transport operating model had changed at the last Labor government as they left office. Put in place a sustainable public transport futures, which allows us to do all sorts of things with public transport, both infrastructure and the service asset, the buses, right up to the point where you could actually own them. The Mayor suggested that Red Bus might be a good vehicle for that. I don't know. But essentially, I'll stop there and we'll use the time to find out anything that you want to try to do.
Ready for questions, Pete?
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. Nice to see you. Line the advantages then of changing the model from what we have currently to what we're proposing.
Well, I think there's advantages in terms of service. I mean, one of the things that really strikes me, and I've been involved in this for 9th year in terms of public transport. I started in 2016. It's always frustrated me that we have the same ratepayers essentially that support public transport in Christchurch, which ostensibly is the greatest amount of public transport that we do, but we've never been able to leverage that as an opportunity for more value. So we keep going for them, as we do with a whole lot of things, for more and more rates. The public transport operating model, we don't want to get into that, but essentially it's a 9-year contract for a bus route. So when you go into one of those, like Go Bus or whoever does it, you go in there with a reasonable margin service that you're going to undertake. We haven't picked into what we can achieve through the sustainable public transport futures, but there is a lot of opportunity. I think there is also a lot of opportunity for us being on the same page about the infrastructure that we require for Christchurch to have a world-class public transport service. You know, we've got GCP did a really good piece of work with the spatial plan, and we've got that MRT concept there. To get to that, we need to have an uplift in terms of public transport delivery. See, Mark's got a question.
So you're saying basically by having one source of rateable income going into one pot, you're going to give that more power, if you like, for that one lump of money rather than being some of it with you and some of it with us. Is that one of the things you're saying?
Well, I think there's some of that. Essentially, if we keep talking to ourselves across Churham Street to Hereford Street and not actually getting the right outcomes, that frustrates me. In our annual planning process, we always have people come and talk to us about public transport. And critically, we can't do much for anyone that comes in. We can't provide a better service because we're constricted in terms of our operating model. And I think there's a better opportunity than that.
But are you not saying that we're not working well together as the two agencies, though, are you? Are you saying?
Well, you and I could think that we're working well together, Pauline, but we're not the important ones in this. The important ones are the staff that are operating the two things. And I think that, and with NZTA, and if we had a joined up message on that, then I think we'd be better. And I think that we need to have a long-term view on this. The long-term view should be delivery of that internationally accepted public transport system for this region, for Christchurch.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peter. I'm interested in the financial model for something like this because setting up another CCO implies that there'll be additional administration costs, governance costs, a whole heap of overheads. So any comment that you can say to appease the ratepayers around that, because they'll have to carry that extra burden.
So the empirical evidence to support this will be found out by the inquiry that we will make into this notice of motion, and staff will probably engage Deloitte or someone of that capability to look at the financial side of that. And I think there's Ajit who does logistical work with local government will also be. So we'll look at, hey, well, what if you did this? What is the opportunity? Because I don't think that we need to jump into this if there's no benefit.
Mark, please.
Thank you. When this was first kind of reported, it was mentioning taking transport out of the city as part of the move. That would not be at all, was it?
Sorry, taking transport out of.
The transport department, the traffic engineer likes out of council, which would be bizarre.
No,
Really just linking up the public transport infrastructure and service.
yeah, and service delivery. We do service, you do infrastructure. We need to get better at being able to combine those things and give a better product, I guess.
Be smarter in what we do.
Yeah.
Aaron and Tim.
Yeah, so given the numbers for the last 15 odd years, it'll be good to see some modelling around how much ratepayer money goes into each trip over that time, and to also, because we got the census numbers yesterday, so they're not exactly glowing for public transport. And then my bigger question is the model we've used for the last 150 years really the one we should be using going forward? Because if you're talking about the future of public transport, we've flogged the bus and we're running at 4%. I'm not sure it's winning the people over. That's a commercial model. You'd be well out of business and your investors wouldn't be happy.
So I think there's a couple of points here. Sorry, you finished? I think there's a couple of points here. One is that the financial bit that you've just mentioned in terms of how much do we put into each route? Well, it differs. I think, and I don't know the numbers of the routes, but I know that for some routes, in terms of each passenger that goes on those routes, we could be paying a subsidy of up to $40 a ride. And I think in the better ones where we've got a good uplift, probably $7 or $8. So public transport is expensive, but public transport is there to service the the transport poor. And are we doing a good job of that? I think ostensibly we are, but can we do better? I think we can. And also that public transport and public transport futures is predicated on mass rapid transport, which gives us an urban development opportunity. City that isn't there yet. And my speaking to ministers about this is that this is a bespoke model for Christchurch. Any criticism nationally on that is probably unwarranted, and the fact that
There's criticism locally too. I mean, there's criticism locally.
oh yes, there will be, but it all depends what mode you use. If you use a light rail mode, I think you get massive criticism of that. Use a tractor tram, essentially 150 seater buses, that the interruption to transport corridors is very minimal. The only interruption would be you probably need, where you drop off and pick up passengers, we'll probably have to have in cuts and those sorts of things. On the transport planner, that's your stuff.
Okay, thank you. One last question, because we're well over context.
I totally get the bit about synergy with regards to we put infrastructure in and the routes get changed, and so it's we're wasting ratepayers' money. But I'm just interested with you on your letter or your notice of motion, just the implications with regards to borrowing ability, because the more we borrow, whether it's ECAN or council, it's going to cost the ratepayers. It's not their money, is it? So I'm just wondering, because there's no mention anywhere, and when we've had you guys, no one's mentioned anything about the bus exchange, and I just kind of wondered what your vision is for that.
Well, I think from my point of view, I think that there's some key assets that are under the control of the city, which are hugely important to the delivery of public transport and to the delivery of things like people in and out of Te Kaha, one of those being Ferry Road. And we've been talking about Ferry Road for a long, long time with the city. We haven't sort of quite got a marriage yet for that, but that's one of the other frustrations I guess I have, is that we should be talking about those things. We should be talking about what infrastructure you need. You know, if we go to an electric system, which we've got 60 or 70 electric buses out of 300, we'll need more depots, because you can't charge wheel buses in one place. We will need different energy systems and those sorts. It's a big thing. It's not just a small thing. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Pete. We'll see you again. Okay, so now we're putting the next two together. So Selena from Flair Street Festival and Ruben from Watch This Space. We'll add them together, so it's 10 minutes. Thank you. Good to see you.
Morena, on behalf of Selena and our colleagues Mike and Hadley, as well as our organisations Flair and Watch This Space, we'd like to say thank you for the opportunity this morning to come and tell you a little about the impact of the Street Art program that was made possible by funding from the Long-Term Plan and Capital Endowment Fund. We first off would like to express a thank you and express our gratitude for that support that has made this program possible and the ongoing interest collectively and individually you have shown in this program and its potential. We're excited to continue this mahi over the coming year and beyond, thanks to that multi-year funding. And today we just wanted to share some of the outcomes that have been achieved so far and some of our goals for the future as well. As you know, or as I hope you all know, street art has become a significant feature of Ōtautahi's physical and creative identity, positioning our city internationally as a creative, dynamic place where art and artists are valued, and there are vibrant and interesting discoveries around every corner. Since October 2024, Watch the Space and Flair have implemented a cohesive yet adaptable street art program benefiting both the wider creative communities and the city of Ōtautahi and our residents more broadly through accessible public art events and activations.
The street art program is centred around several key anchor events. The Flair Ōtautahi Street Art Festival, held in March 2025, created 19 large permanent murals across the city, including Aotearoa's tallest mural by Jacob Yikes on the Distinction Hotel. The festival showcased the creation of more than 25 additional artworks and 64 artists, numerous free and accessible public activities, including walking tours, workshops, painting jams, an artist panel, an exhibition, and a bustling public market day. Flair drew significant media and public attention, shining a light on Ōtautahi's as Aotearoa's mural capital.
On a smaller scale, the Little Street Art Festival, held in December of 2024, provided a unique platform for urban creativity, creating over 40 individual artworks across the city by local artists, from playful paintings to beguiling sculptures, encouraging exploration and attention to our cityscape, all alongside free participatory events that engage the public with guided tours, workshops, panel discussions, and even artwork treasure hunts and giveaways. The Little Street Art Festival is a thoroughly unique event, providing opportunities for artists whose work takes a different approach to muralism and highlighting how creativity can be embedded in our urban landscape.
We were also able to support the Christchurch Hip Hop Summit in October 2024, creating new artworks with more than 20 local artists and providing public education activities to help shift the perceptions and possibilities of graffiti art and engaging local and marginalised youth with proactive opportunities rather than reactiveness.
The upcoming Roll Call exhibition, to be held in early August 2025, will survey the work of a wide range of urban art and artists in Ōtautahi, featuring more than 50 local creatives and creating important connections between interior and exterior spaces, celebrating an emerging and evolving creative community, providing the opportunities for artists to find new audiences and highlight their potential as multifaceted creatives. Beyond these anchor events, though, the ongoing street art program has also delivered more than 10 additional mural commissions, artworks that celebrate diverse communities, including our rainbow communities, Māori and Pacifica communities, local suburban communities, and young people. Graffiti art events that provide pathways for traditionally overlooked and marginalised artists, and especially young people, to explore positive pathways for their art. public engagement through free presentations, discussions and workshops that provide audiences the chance to learn about processes and techniques, as well as directly connect with artists. And unique activations of urban space, from after dark projections to participatory activities, creating new ways of approaching urban creativity, supporting artists to explore the possibilities of their work and providing new experiences for audiences.
The impact of the street art programme has been substantial and has engaged more than 125 artists, from established practitioners to emerging creators and predominantly local, while reaching an almost innumerable audience both in person and online, from residents to visitors and even those who have specifically visited the city to explore the art in our streets. The capital endowment funding so far has contributed directly to local artists and material costs, transforming the cityscape with over 100 individual works of vibrant, meaningful art across the city.
The public response has been overwhelmingly positive. Survey feedback reveals that street art makes people feel more connected to the city, with one participant noting, "It made me so proud of Christchurch, seeing the walls brighten up and people stop to admire them." Others have commented that the art activates and makes the city more attractive, with one Clear Festival attendee remarking that the highlight was how busy the city seemed every day. You could walk around and see something happening. A Little Street Art Festival participant explained, "Christchurch's street art is amazing, and having an organised event like this to nurture and showcase artists is a real asset to the city and the local art scene."
The street art programme has been built on collaboration, working with numerous organisations, local businesses and community groups, including various Christchurch City Council teams, Christchurch NZ, Life in Vacant Spaces, the Arts Centre, Gap Filler, Fletcher's, the World Buskers Festival, Phantom Bill Stickers, Dulux, Lepaki Marae, Moana Bar, Tourism NZ, Royal Pioneer, Scape, Kiwi Experience, Housing First, the Drifter Hotel, Christchurch Cathedral, Immersive Reality, Offline Collective, Graffiti School, Christchurch Libraries, and many others. These partnerships have helped reach larger and more diverse audiences and provided more platforms for creative work and broadening the impact of the programme.
Looking ahead, the street art programme will continue to evolve, with a significant mural festival, Sea Signals, planned for February 2026, spanning the central city and coastal areas. We will also present a new range of initiatives and activations throughout the calendar year, supporting and producing more mural projects, festivals, exhibitions, and public events. The programme is built upon a strategic approach that explores the ground presence of urban creativity, embedding it in the city's creative ecosystem and increasing opportunities for both residents and visitors to engage with creative activities, while responding to opportunities, occasions, and changing landscapes as required and presented. The street art programme has not only transformed the physical environment with new works of art, but has also changed perceptions of the city, helping shape Christchurch as an exciting and lively destination. A perfect partnership with the ongoing physical renewal, a way for people to continue to feel engaged and connected. It has provided opportunities for local creatives to contribute to the city's identity and further their professional development, ensuring Ōtautahi is viewed as a viable and supportive place for artists to live, work, and thrive. As one artist reflected in this Flair survey, Flair gave me space to express myself and feel part of the community. Another noted after the Little Street Art Festival, "I hope I can be part of another one at some point, because I always develop and grow as an artist and teacher afterwards, due to this encouragement and to push my practice further into new and exciting avenues." Through this comprehensive and supported approach to street art, Ōtautahi continues to evolve as a canvas for creativity, connection, and community engagement, aiding our shift from a gateway to a destination to explore and enjoy, and serving to establish a real sense of pride and connection with the cityscape. Ōtautahi truly benefits from the proactive approach to ensuring our streets are alive and active with art, made possible by the support from the Christchurch City Council. We're greatly appreciative, and we look forward to the continued development of this programme, further cementing Ōtautahi's reputation as one of the world's great street art cities. We now would love to take any questions you may have. I know that was quite a lot to take in, but again, thank you very much for the opportunity to update you all.
We've got two questions before you start. I'd just like to say, you're certainly helping and doing it, bringing this central city alive. And I am in awe of the artists that do it, to stand in front of a great big wall and create something. I'd be there for the rest of my life and be bloody shambles, I can tell you. Kelly.
Congratulations first on what you've done with the money that we've given to you, and following through and doing exactly what you said you would do, and coming back and telling us. And thank you so much for the tour that you took us on and showed us those buildings. My question is just about wonderful kind of marriage you have with, was it the Distinction Hotel? And that sort of corporate organization allowing you to put that sort of mural on there. Are there any others in the pipeline that you can speak about or can't speak about? Are you continuing to engage with business owners who have appropriate sites?
Yeah, it's a constant dialogue. We are currently just seeing the completion of a work at the new Petitions development on Gloucester Green, which creates a new backdrop for the residents of that space and beyond. We are also about to undertake a new work at the side of the old Upper Riccarton War Memorial Library, which will activate that newly developed green space. And we are fielding inquiries all the time. Now, there are always challenges, but the level of interest of business owners, building owners, and community organisations to try to work with us to activate space is it's a lot. It's a great challenge, great opportunity, and it's definitely going.
Celeste?
Amazing work. Just two things quickly. Can you just quickly speak a little bit about the Sea Signals program, which sounds very exciting, and love the poster, and also just touching on the fact that it's about celebrating local artists, and also you're drawing a lot of international artists here, and I know there was one that came to New Brighton. But you can probably speak to that.
Yeah,
Selena should talk about that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So we reached out to Pangea Seed, who do originally it was called Sea Walls, and they've been like globally across the world, and they kind of raise awareness around ocean conservation. So it's like a collaboration, like a mural festival, but it's themed around ocean conservation. So we pair up artists with ocean researchers and the artists tell the story through art about these important subjects. So yeah, and that's kind of why we want to do Central City and also coastal. So it's by the sea, and it's telling the message that we're trying to get.
And lastly, Yanni, please.
Yeah, I think, thank you, just to echo the praise that's been said. We had a very high level French delegation from the Senate, the French Senate, and the French ambassador in the city the last couple of days. And one of the senators actually got the app and did the walk and was so impressed, and he's from France, right, which has got amazing street art too. So we are right up there thanks to the work that you've been doing. I just wanted to check, are there council facilities or council locations that we could use to showcase street art better? And I think of places like the port, the airport, the buses, the new stadium, which I've repeatedly kind of tried to get a foot in the door. So are there things we can do with our own spaces and places to support street art more? Or if that's too big a question now, can we get some more?
Silos would be great at the LPs at the port in Littleton. Those, if we can help us do that. But yeah, obviously there's health and safety around that, but we'd love to paint those. The stadium.
The stadium, I think, would be a fantastic opportunity to tell stories through art in that space. Look, the reason that we believe so strongly in the power of street art is that it can transform any space through creative approaches, and those types of spaces where we have public audiences and stories to tell. I think it would be fantastic to be able to continue those discussions and find those locations, because we definitely want to do so.
Thank you very much. We've gotten up our time,
Thank
but thank you so much for making the effort, and everyone for coming in. Okay, we've got James now from 98.5 and 50 years.
You missed the paper we signed off with the whole stadium.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, councillors, for having me here. Yes, celebrating 5 decades of RDU. RDU or UFN or Radio U to some of the elders.
You mean?
It began in a cupboard next to the Nine Marsh Theatre in 76. And next year we'll be more than just grown up, we'll be 50 years old. RDU will be something for the city to be proud of. I mean, as I can tell, a lot of you already know RDU, I'm sure everyone's heard of it. And it's been with us, I guess, a lot of me have grown up at some capacity. But for those that may not know, RDU's achieved some significant things over 50 years. We were first onto FM, first to have a website, first to stream online, and first to broadcast from a horse truck. That's a record that still stands today. Overcoming adversity has been our middle name. We've proven track record of doing great things with very little. According to the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, the horse truck response was the epitome of resilience. We survived more catastrophes, global financial, earthquakes, of course, fires, and COVID. And we've celebrated a few milestones with 12,000 people at Cheapest Chips and on campus in 2006 for our 30th. Record numbers visited at a curated exhibition at the Canterbury Museum in 2016 for our 40th. And we proudly achieved charitable status just last year. My maths is any good, we will raise a toast for our 50th in February 2026. What have we been up to? Besides playing the most diverse and awesome range of music in the city, we've been out and about connecting communities and being great at doing it. We are now more deeply engaged with our local organisations and training establishments than we've ever been before. For instance, we have multiple relationships with institutions to provide education and real-world experience for students. We help them get work placement. We also have several programs for youth and emerging musicians to help them rehearse and record new work, including an excellent all-mat program with the support of the council. And there's just a few of the partnerships that we have been managing over the last 12 months. So what are we doing to celebrate our 50th? We have several anchor projects and events we're planning to deliver throughout the next year, and we're seeking support to help fund a role to deliver these activities. What you might spend on one single event, we'd be able to spread across the entire year. Performances, festivals, local events, mostly music related. Our goal is to connect and help them get people through the door and bums on seats. We'd love to be doing more, Cathedral Square, pop-up performances. We've got a lot to offer. We're pleased to report we've just received vocal support from Callum Mitchell from Team Event. You will all know, and I quote, "We're working with RDU to develop legacy plans around Electric Avenue. In particular, how do we communicate the rich and diverse musical history of Christchurch, especially to visitors in the festival and to the city?" We've also had express support from Nick Paris from the Lumiere Theatre to collaborate with RDU on a RDU-centric film festival to coincide with the birthday theme at some stage next year. Decades of You, we are producing a book on the history of the organisation, which is no mean feat. A vast amount of people and stories will be contained therein. And we have the support of Blair Jackson and his team to produce a music event at the Christchurch City Art Gallery to mark this auspicious occasion and book launch. All of this is intended to be communicated as part of a program of activities during the 12 months following every birthday. So what do we need? We've got a massive team of 3 people, including myself. We're all highly skilled and competent, but we know Big Plans needs additional support to be delivering these types of projects successfully. We need people to help us on the ground, event management, project management, funding to support publishing and event plans, but you may also be able to help us with access to facilities or advocacy to encourage others to help us. We're open to receiving support to achieving our stories and our events next year. And at 50 years old, I wager RDU is certainly one of the better stories to be sharing. With the stadium opening also next year, this is just a brilliant coincidence or opportunity that we surely must take advantage of. One last thought, Bikrunga, Salmonella Dub, Shapeshifter, Tikitane, Lawrence Arabia, Anika Moore, The Bats, and many more. All of these artists were heard first on RDU. And the city continues to be a melting pot for brilliant musicians, brilliant people and events. And the next Marlon Williams or Aldous Harding is out there right now in their garage, or on their couch, practicing and waiting. They're waiting to be seen. We just need to be capable of seeing them. And who has that capability? Who helps them grow to become great? It's RDU. And what can you do to help RDU to see these people, the talent that is out there in the community and will become the next mark of pride for our city? Can't we be a shining example, showing the rest of the country how things like this could be achieved? I think we're not just a roof and a bunch of seats. We want to be seen as a cultural, connected leader in our region and in our place. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope this inspires your support. Yes.
What we can do to help you. And we had one question from Andre real early on, so if you want to be real quick.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the timing's great because next year is a perfect year to be activating the city, and sounds like you're able to help us do that with very, very good bang for buck. But yeah, Mary's asked the question, so that's for able to find out what support we're able to provide.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so we've got Spokes Canterbury, we've got Fox and Anne, who are here to speak about top cycling priorities in the central area that were identified in a public consultation session that Spokes ran earlier in the year. Welcome.
Kia ora koutou, ko Anne Scott tōku ingoa.
Fox tōku
We're here today to talk about a painting session that we held in Tauranga in March. We got 180 unique suggestions, 40 of those were the CBD, and we prioritised those, and what we've come up with is 3 of the top priorities that we see within the CBD area and some others that are happening. With 5 minutes, we can really only cover one thing, or a little bit of it. The CBD is actually steadily improving, and it's attracting a more diverse range of cyclists with different needs. And what we came up with in terms of priorities was the top priority by far. This is like 10% of the comments, and if you take the wider area, it was even more than that, is the Carlton Mill corner. It's really problematic for anyone who wants to walk or cycle. There's no waiting space, narrow, very narrow spaces on the path. Every inch of the road is used by vehicles in multiple lanes. It's actually really difficult to get from Papanui through to Hagley Park or into the major cycleway down Park Terrace. And this is the area where cycling infrastructure, you get good cycling infrastructure, and then it suddenly stops. It's like someone's thrown up their hands and said, this is too difficult, I can't cope. But we do need to cope. So in terms of the Carlton Mill and surrounds, we would like you to ask staff to investigate improvements for the pedestrians and cyclists in this area. We would like, first of all, intersection changes within maybe the next 12 months, upgrade the crossing to look at slip lanes, which may need bumps, tactile pavers for those who don't have vision, who have lower vision. Some of the paths, if you have a look at the diagram on the bottom left, you see the green bit on Carlton Mill Road. It's too dangerous for cyclists, particularly on that bend. There is a path there. It's not officially a cycle path. We'd like you to make that officially a cycle path. There isn't a lot of pedestrians on it, and some of the other green bits. But most of all, we want the red bits done. We'd like you to have a look and see if you can make those areas safer for both cyclists and pedestrians. Longer term, it needs to go on the LTP and bridge maybe. Okay, the second top priority is the Armour Street Bridge. There's a whole lot of conflicts between cyclists and pedestrians and scooters. There's 780 in the winter, up to 2,000 a day cyclists who go through this space, and there's cars and everything else. There's little to indicate where cyclists should be. It's still kind of designed for access to the old shared path, and it really needs some love. Also, we have a lot of problems with vehicles sitting in the cycle lane. They simply cannot see until they get further out into the traffic. We'd like you to ask staff to investigate ways to improve the safety and flow in that circled area from just before the Mickle Gates through to the road. Priority 3, Fitzgerald and Kilmore at the bridge and intersection. So there's a 90-degree turn on, we're talking about the bridge on the eastern side. There's a 90-degree turn from the footpath into the bridge. There's a traffic light in the middle of it. People are rushing across 5 lanes of traffic, and then they have to make this turn and they can't make it. People are falling off. We had a comment, distressed tourists fall off into turning traffic. I see minor incidents here every day as I bike to work. It's a critical missing link between the City to Sea and Fitzgerald Park, and we'd really like you to create a shared path on the eastern side of the bridge to improve access and sight. There's a lot of tourists hiring a bike and expecting to go into the red zone, and it's beautiful each side of that bridge, except for the bridge. The other 4 to 8 is the Papanui parallel Colombo Street trial safety treatments are seen to have disappeared. The Rapanui Shag Rock is a missing connection along Worcester Street. Papanui to Park Terrace Cycleway is missing connections. The east-west, we'd really love an east-west connection along Gloucester Street, Christ College to Tuaranga, and to create easier access for bikes at the outside Christ College. And that number 8 would be a really quick win. If you just put some paint to the cycle light, most cyclists don't even know the cycle light exists. And there are other cycling issues, other general priorities, but we'll come back to questions because I've only got 6 seconds.
Got time for one question, Yanni.
Thanks for the presentation and thanks for the work that you're doing. It's really good to get this feedback. What concerns me is 2 of those top priorities are ones that we've recently spent money doing to try and make safer, and we've got it completely wrong. Is there something that we're missing when we're not understanding the design in regards to the users?
Which ones are they, Yanni?
So the Cities of Sea pathway, I mean, that's a brand new thing that's just been put in.
You're talking about Pomeroy's, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that. But
And the street bridge, we've spent
yeah, but we didn't do
lots
that
of
either.
projects on that one as well. There's been Armour Street improvements, there's been.
But
So I'm just trying to understand if there's a better way of thinking about the planning and the design before we get to a stage where it becomes a problem, right? Just trying to see if there's any lessons that we can learn from that.
I think the lesson really is that it would be really nice to have maybe once a year a conversation with staff and with representatives to see where we want to go, how is things working, what in the general picture do we need to do, so that we've got a bigger vision of where we're going. What happens really is there is a certain amount of money and we do a particular section and then we move on to the next section and we always leave the most expensive, most difficult bit. And that's where all the danger lies. And that is the difference between cycling and not cycling. That's the difference between a tourist getting a bike in the central city and being told there's a fabulous path out there, go for it, and here's the map. And then they hit this intersection and they think, where do I go? What do I do? This feels really dangerous. And so when they go home, what they say, they don't say, I had the greatest trip to North through the red zone. What they say is, I fell off my bike because it was too dangerous.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So well done. Good on. Thank you. Okay, so now we're into
Sorry, Phil, can I just check, do we follow, we've got logged in for follow-up, haven't we, action, to have a conversation about that, thank you. Great.
We have online, I think, Stefan and Brunei, and we have Stefan. That's not written down here. Oh, Andrew. Yes. Thank you again. We've been thanks for this opportunity. Thanks, Stefan. I'd like to introduce things when he's with us. Obviously, we weren't expecting them, so we really appreciate the opportunity to address again, which I guess following the receipt of the officer's report.
Can you hear me? Hello, 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 hello.
I think that's Stefan now. Stefan, can you hear us?
That's good. At least someone can hear me.
Yes,
hello.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, good. Kia ora from the other side of the world. But you can't see me. That's for sure.
Night time there, it's very dark.
So nevertheless, Bruni and I, hopefully we will be in profile very soon. Bruni and I would first like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here, even though it is very unusual way for us to do so. We are not fans of video conferences and would prefer to be standing in front of you in person or sitting better. but unfortunately we are currently on assignment for a motor and travel magazine in Germany. So thanks again for the opportunity to be here via Zoom. Today is one of the most important days in recent decades for us, as it is the final decision on whether we will be allowed to continue living in our home. This is not possible without drive access, and we have developed two comprehensive proposals that would result in a win-win situation for all parties involved. We have listed everything in detail in our statement, which Samantha has forwarded to you. Hopefully she did, but I'm totally confident she did. We can, of course, repeat our arguments and pleadings here, but we also hope that you can understand our truly unique situation. Only with this access, we can continue to live on the hill, and only the purchase of the land will give us this freedom. We would reunite the two sections which once belonged together and reactivate the drive access where it used to be. The earthquake has clearly shown us that we cannot rely solely on the current walk access, which is narrow and steep, which with hundreds of steps, and that is via MMA2 land. Unfortunately, our home is also difficult to reach in other emergencies, which is a big concern to us. We are in a rather unique situation, which certainly requires a decision that takes into account both the financial return for the ratepayer and our personal situation, and which cannot, of course, be criticized by the public. We are not looking for your sympathy, to be honest, but rather a fair and equitable and practical, of course, outcome that takes into account the reality of our situation. It is definitely our last chance. Sorry that we are unable to present our arguments with the necessary eloquence. Our English language skills are simply not good enough. And therefore, if you have any other questions, of course, you can ask us or Andrew, who has been assisting us with this matter for years and years, and he will be happy to provide additional answers. Unfortunately, we are still only acoustics, but not, can't see the video. That's a mess. Anyway, we are here. Maybe you will see the.
And obviously, if you have any questions directly for Stefan, please do make them. Before I open up to questions, just a couple of other points which relate sort of more to the report that the council staff put together. And I guess Stefan's reference there to sympathy is because that's there they are.
Here we go.
His reference there to sympathy is that because that point is made a couple of times that their situation, you can be sympathetic, but that's as far as it goes. And I think much of that relates back to the policy for unilateral offers, and the policy, and much is made of needing to abide the policy. But of course, the policy also recognises that exceptions can be made, and there's no rule against dealing with these offers, as this process shows, and the rejection appears to boil down to two particular issues, which are identified as an absence of uniqueness and what seems to amount to an idea of favouritism to Stefan and Brenny. On the basis of the policy, the report, and we say the policy is probably more plainly intended for situations requiring procurement from the council rather than the situations we find ourselves in here. And obviously, we're not asking the council to buy anything. The report obviously recommends no to both proposals, and we have real issues with both those recommendations. But given the time available and the importance of gaining access, I'm going to focus on the driveway. The report says that this would impair the value of the property, that is number one, Kinley Terrace, and reduce the potential purchasers' options. We disagree with both those conclusions because the key value of the property, which is the view, remains. and the area of land that previously was a driveway, which is what they're asking to recreate, would remain available to the new owner for their access also. And of course, the geotech advice that the council obtained has advised that the MMA, which is the mass movement area to land, can still be built on with proper engineering treatment. So why would the council allow this? We say, because this is a unique situation. The provision of access across number 1 is the only means of providing vehicle access to number 54, which is Stephen and Brynny's home, and there are unique access to the context as well as the existential nature of the outcome. The wait for 14 years for an answer regarding access while not feeling safe to return to one's home is highly unlikely to be replicated elsewhere. We also say it would be fair. The sum offered is objectively more than reasonable. The ratepayer, and that's based on valuations on both sides. And we know there is a comment in the report that said that essentially says that the offer that's been made exceeds the council's valuation. Obviously, we're not going to talk numbers here, and that's for a later process. But that's the situation the report actually states. The ratepayer will get a fair return. It's not a significant asset, and it is surplus land. If the council were to also require this land, the amount offered would be considered fairly reached. And also, we say, why not? The counterfactual, to leave it to the market, may or may not mean a better return, because of course it would be an option based on some purported demand from people, mostly likely developers, we think, with deeper pockets for the potential of a greater return is at an insurmountable cost, would come at an insurmountable cost to Stefan and Brandon. Council can accept the offer and will have discharged its obligations while providing a solution to an otherwise impossible situation. Another purchaser may pay a bit more for the view and treat it as a conspicuous expression of their worth, but it won't house the homeless or cure some other problem. The other reason not to leave it to the market is that the market option means there will never be the ability for vehicular access to number 54, unless, of course, they're successful in purchasing the entire site. In other words, the lesser access option of access by right-of-way or, say, some other arrangement with a neighbour would probably be off the table. Council right now has the ability to enable that option, i.e. the access through the driveway, even if it thinks it can get more for the rest of the site, which of course it would still be open to do, and for all the other reasons that have been said. Stefan and Bruno have been honest in saying they're interested in purchasing number 1 outright, if possible, but the reality is that the access is what they desperately need. Without it, they do not feel they can return to their home safely. On the issue of favouritism, just a quick point, another impression. Well, I think the point can fairly be made that if gaining the council's favour requires living through an earthquake, not returning to your home for 14 years, though continuing to pay rates, having to engage with multiple agencies for an answer to the access issue and being told to wait, in the comparison with the Billy Goats graph is possibly apt, investing significant time and money in the process, making an above market offer in order to show fairness to the process, while offering to allow the use of the outcome to whoever owns the remainder of the land, in the case of access only, and having to convince the council that you are genuine in your situation is critical in terms of being able to return to your home. Many, if not most, would probably walk away and say it's just not worth it. But to now be told that it would be fairer to reject an objectively good offer in favour of, let's be frank, more wealthy potential business whose need is probably for the view, we ask what's the opposite of favouritism, and obviously happy to answer any questions in the short time available.
Any questions, anyone?
Yeah, thank you very much for your information.
Thank you. Thank you for maybe waking up early in the morning.
Staying up. I think it's about midnight here.
Thank you.
Shortly after midnight, don't be worried.
Thanks, Stefan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you. Number 5 now, please. Okay.